This is the Lenco Wheel V4, a one-wheeled skateboard as powerful as a Suron with a max speed of 60 km per hour. And in this video I will show you how to build it. This board is sold as a kit, including the frame, footpads and lights from the Lenco Solution website. You can find a link to it in the description below. Leonard, the designer of this electric vehicle, kindly provided me with this kit, as well as the 20S 6Ah battery, which is already installed in the rear footpad. The kit comes with the whole frame pre-assembled, and the quality is extremely high. Every seam is water resistant, and every plastic part is made with carbon fiber infused nylon. The assembly starts by unscrewing the front footpad to reveal the empty box, where the VESC controller will fit. As you can see, there is already a board installed in this box to control the front and rear lights, as well as giving a voltage reading on a small screen located on the footpad. The controller I'll be using for this build is a Spin-Tend U-Box 85V 150A, which can be mounted here. A big thanks to Spin-Tend for providing me with this controller. It's perfect for this application since it features a built-in gyro sensor as well as a high current capacity of up to 300 amps. You can find it as well as any other U-Box controller at the link below. To mount the controller we need to flip the board and remove the slide plate to reveal 4 mounting holes. After screwing the VESC securely in place, we can proceed by installing back the slide plate and move on installing the power switch. Make sure to use a latching power switch or the controller won't be able to stay on. With the power button in place, we can install the Bluetooth module that will allow us to connect the board to our smartphone and monitor real-time data as well as changing all the settings available. This module will be connected to the COM port of the VESC and can be glued to this sticky tape. We can then connect the VESC CAN bus to the control board and take the ADC1 and the ADC2 cables coming from the COM port and connect them to the footpad sensor port on the same board, together with 3.3 volts and ground. We can then connect the power and move on working on the motor. The motor I'm using is also provided by Lenco Solutions and it's a 4000 watts 80 Nm unit. Make sure to get the 80 Nm motor since there is also a 50 Nm one, which will not work as well as this one. The motor axle can be shortened by a couple of millimeters to be able to slot between the rails. Once that's done, we can unscrew the plastic covers from each side, allowing us to remove the motor mounting blocks and the nuts. These can be mounted to each side of the motor axle, making sure to tighten the nuts up very tightly. Also, you'll need to use a couple of the included washers to get the right spacing. With the axle blocks installed, it's now just a matter of dropping the motor in between the rails and screwing the 2 mounting screws on each side to hold it tightly in place. As you can see, there are 3 height settings and I opted to go with the highest one for maximum ground clearance. At this point I realized that I didn't mount the tire, nothing that some quick editing can't fix. Seriously now, I've mounted the tire off camera, since it is probably the most difficult thing to do in this whole build. Just make sure to get the correct orientation and use plenty of tire sealant, since you don't want the tire going flat in the middle of a ride. Anyway, with the motor back on, we can install some bullet connectors and connect the phase wires and hall sensor wires to the controller. Closing the footpad, the board is now finished and looking very ready to tackle some challenging trails. As good as it looks, it's still useless if we don't configure it in the VESC tool. I won't go into details on how to do that, since there is a very informative 19 minutes video tutorial made by the Board Garage that explains the process in great detail. Just make sure to insert a value of 70 amps for the discharge current, 60 amps for the charge current, 200 amps as the motor current and 300 amps as the absolute max current to avoid any nosedives. Riding the board proved to be actually quite easy and very fun. I was already able to ride a skateboard, so that might have helped a bit with the learning curve, but still it's a quite intuitive vehicle to ride. This doesn't mean it's without risk, In fact, I think it's one of the most dangerous electric vehicles ever created, since you are balancing on a single wheel and most importantly, if something fails, you are guaranteed to fall, even at 0 km/h. Despite that, the fun factor dominates and makes you want to ride it in any moment. Even though I don't really like riding it on the streets, it's a pleasure to cruise on the cycle path or on some light off-road trails. The hub motor pumps out a whopping 4000 watts of power, and it's so powerful that the limiting factor for speed isn't quite the motor specs, but the guts of whoever is riding it. As proven by Lennart, this board can be pushed to absurd speeds. More on that on a future video on the Lenco Solution channel. The huge power makes it possible to basically reach any speed at any incline and makes it very hard to nosedive. It has impressive acceleration and good braking performance, since the board uses the motor for braking as well as accelerating. I didn't use it much off-road, since the trails I have around here are extremely technical and basically impossible on this kind of vehicle. The best thing about this vehicle, I think, is the portability and how handy it is for daily commutes to work or school. The 15 kilos of weight isn't exactly low, but the very compact size makes it possible to take it wherever you go, not needing to leave it unattended. Also, the amazing 30 km range and the ability to charge when braking makes it perfect for long Sunday rides, exploring new places and trails. I see also the very real possibility to take it on holiday for moving around town and cruising on the beach. This board is really something you need to try yourself to understand the amazing feeling it gives when riding it. It is surely the most fun electric vehicle I've ever tried, for cruising on the cycle path or going around town. If you want to take one of these boards home, you can purchase the frame kit or the entire board on the Lenco Solution website, a link to which you can find below. The price isn't exactly low, coming in at about 2300 euros, but it's not high either considering the level of performance you get. Comparing it to other electric skateboards I've tried, it's not even in the same league, having literally 5 times the power and doubling the range. The performance is basically the same as an electric dirt bike, costing twice as much, and the experience you get is really something you need to try yourself to understand. I will catch you in the next one.